Let's discuss about the anatomy of external ear. External ear mainly consists of pinna and external auditory canal. Pinna is formed from single piece of elastic cartilage. We know that this part is formed from hillocks of his from first and second pharyngeal arches. This type of cartilage can also be seen on the tip of the nose. Here, this region is helix. The region inside this is known as an antihelix. The area between the antihelix and the tragus is known as concha. The anterior part of the helix goes inside the concha and divides into two parts, cavum and cymba. The part below is known as cavum and part above is cymba. The cymba concha act as the surface landmark of mastodontum. This is an yellow elastic cartilage of ear. Here the lobule does not have any cartilage. During the formation of the ear, the yellow elastic cartilage, there we can draw a line through the area where the fusion of cartilage takes place. This line is known as incisura terminalis. If we give incision at this line, we call this approach as endoral approach, and the incision given is Lempert's incision. Similarly, if we give incision behind the ear pinna, it is called postoral approach, and the incision name is William Wild's incision. If we give incision inside the external auditory canal, it is known as transcanal approach or permeatal approach or endomeatal approach. Incision name is Rosen's incision. As we discussed earlier, cymba concha act as anatomical landmark of mastodontum, but during surgery, we give incision behind the ear pinna, remove its flap. As we remove, we cannot identify it as a landmark, so we need Boolean landmark or surgical landmark. To find the surgical landmark, we take the suprameatal crust, extension of zygomatic process, and mark it as an A, and posterior superior wall of ear as B. Now if we draw a tangent between them, we get a triangle. That triangle is known as McEwan's triangle or suprameatal triangle. It acts as surgical landmark for mastodontum. Now second part of an external ear, external auditory canal. Its length is approximately 24 millimeters. Its 1/3, that is 8 mm, is cartilaginous and 2/3 is bony. The narrowest area in the EAC is known as isthmus. The outer 1/3 area has hair, sweat glands and sebaceous glands and ceruminous glands. Ceruminous gland is a modified sweat gland. Now we can say sweat glands, they are of two types, eccrine and apocrine. Eccrine are present all over the body, whereas apocrine, they are present only few places like axilla, pelvic region, areola, perianal region. Eccrine opens on the skin directly, whereas apocrine open inside the hair follicles. Eccrine are supplied by cholinergic nerve fibers, whereas apocrine, they are supplied by adrenergic. Here the ceruminous gland, it is a modified apocrine sweat gland. Another example is ciliary glands in eyelids. Ceruminous glands secrete cerumen, which mixes with sweat, dead epithelium, dead cells, hair cells, dust particles, sebum. All of it will come out as earwax. Tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane is a trimeric structure. It is made up of ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Ectoderm forms epithelial layer of the tympanic membrane. Mesoderm fibrous layer. Endoderm forms mucosal layer. Tympanic membrane is a pearly gray or translucent in color. Tympanic membrane can be divided into two parts, the upper part and the lower part. Upper part is a pars flaccida, whereas lower part is pars tensa. Pars flaccida is also known as Sharpnell's membrane. It is flaccid with scanty fibers, whereas pars tensa is organized fibrous layer. Let's see the diagram of the tympanic membrane. The upper part, this part is known as pars flaccida, and the lower part pars tensa. As you can see, the fibers are very scanty. Here they are organized. The fibrous layer forms a ring around the pars tensa. We can see here. This ring is known as fibrous annulus or annulus tympanica. Tympanic membrane is attached to bony ESC with the help of annulus tympanica. Here, this is external auditory canal. In the bony ESC, there is slight elevation of bone known as bony annulus. This bony annulus is attached to fibrous annulus of the tympanic membrane. As you can see, the bony annulus is devoid in the upper region known as notch of Revenus, which is covered by pars flaccida. Tympanic membrane is attached to the floor of ESC at the angle of 55 degrees. Now let's say we have a foreign body in external auditory canal. We can use probing, microforceps, syringing to remove it. In probing, we use a hook-like structure placed in the external auditory canal and pull the foreign object. And in microforceps technique, we use microforceps to pull the foreign body. In syringing, we use syringe to remove the foreign body from external auditory canal. If the foreign object is beyond the isthmus or attached to the tympanic membrane, we cannot use the above methods. In this case, we use microsection. It is the best way to remove the foreign body. If we have the live insect in external auditory canal, we can use lukewarm oil to remove it. Significance of umbo. The region here in the tympanic membrane is known as umbo. Umbo consists of the tip of the malleus. Umbo. It is the most visible and most important anatomical landmark of the tympanic membrane. It is not a surgical landmark. It is just an anatomical landmark. Because with the help of umbo, we can divide pars tensa into 4 quadrants: anterior superior part, posterior superior, anterior inferior, posterior inferior. Anterior inferior part consists of the cone of light. This umbo is present on the tip of the handle of malleus. Now whenever we choose a landmark, the landmark should be fixed, but the tip of the malleus is the most motile part, so it is not a reliable landmark, as I said before. At the neck of the lateral process of malleus, here it has a lateral process in the neck. It is relatively stable when compared to the tip of the handle of malleus. So it can be used as reliable landmark. The malleus pulls the tympanic membrane backwards. This is the tympanic membrane. The tip of the malleus pulls the tympanic membrane backwards. So the anterior inferior part of the tympanic membrane and the light falling on it forms 90 degrees. So light get reflected. So cone of light is formed in the anterior inferior part of the tympanic membrane. Now let's discuss about the nerve supply of ear. The anterior part of the ear lobe is supplied by the auriculotemporal nerve. The concha of ear is supplied by the cranial nerve 7 and 10. 7 means the facial nerve, 10 vagus nerve. And the posterior aspect of the ear is supplied by the greater auricular nerve. It is a spinal nerve of C2 and C3. We know that pinna is formed from first and second arch. So the first arch is also known as mandibular arch, which is supplied by mandibular nerve. Now mandibular nerve is the third part of trigeminal nerve, that is fifth cranial nerve. A branch of auriculotemporal nerve supplies the anterior part of the ear pinna. Now concha, 7th and 10th cranial nerve. The majority part of the ear pinna is supplied by the greater auricular nerve, spinal nerve C2 and C3. Now medial aspect. In medial aspect, the upper part is supplied by the lesser occipital nerve of C2 spinal nerve, and the most of the part by greater auricular nerve C2 and C3. Nerve supply of external auditory canal. The anterior superior part is supplied by auriculotemporal nerve. It is a branch of the fifth cranial nerve, that is trigeminal nerve. Posterior superior part is supplied by the 7th cranial nerve, that is facial nerve. Posterior inferior part by C3 spinal nerve. Anterior inferior part by the 10th cranial nerve. The vagus nerve gives auricular branch to the anterior inferior part. This auricular branch is also known as Arnold's branch or Altman's branch. It is also responsible for the cough reflex in ear. Nerve supply of tympanic membrane. Lateral aspect of the tympanic membrane. The posterior aspect of the tympanic membrane is supplied by the vagus nerve, whereas anterior part is supplied by the auriculotemporal nerve. Medial aspect of the tympanic membrane is supplied by the Jacobson's nerve, a branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. In the posterior superior wall of the external auditory canal, the facial nerve gives the sensory division. If this is absent, it is known as Heidelberg sign. It is seen in the vestibular schwannoma.